Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
Good morning, good, glorious Jerusalem morning. My name is Andrea Simintov, and you are listening to Pull Up a Chair. Let me first say good morning, good evening. We're all over the map today with everybody, my friends in the U.S. and Israel, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, Norway, France, Metropolitan. Where is Metropolitan? Right from there. Okay, good morning, Switzerland, Russia, and again, Australia. It's really good to be spending this morning with you. Let me bring the mic up closer. And we have a lot to cover today. And I'm bored with coronavirus. Not bored. I'm unbored. I'm excited. I'm high. I'm floating with the things that I personally have learned, with the miracles unfolding in the world I see around me. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. We're going to talk about a very brave phone call, Zoom call I had this week with some very brave people, real heroes, and they weren't wearing armor and they weren't carrying weapons. They were carrying their souls, they were carrying their hearts, and the show is dedicated to B&K, and we're going to talk a lot about the things that I discovered while helping them discover. Today is going to be my first day out walking. If you don't know what I look like, you will recognize me. I'm extremely pale. I haven't been outside in 8 weeks. I'll be walking very uncertain, very uncertainly, kind of like a wobbly footstep because I'll be wearing closed shoes, socks, and I may also be frightened because I'll be wearing controlling underwear. Okay, so I'm going out. I'll be walking. I'm going to the bank to put on my boxing gloves. Today's show is about coming home. All the reasons to come home to Israel, all the reasons to take your fears and put them in a hefty garbage bag and toss them, all the great things about living here, why we're going to do it, and there's going to be a warning. A warning is going to come out to all of my Christian friends who don't get it, okay? And this is Andrea Simintov. I want to speak to you on the other side.
Israel is located in one of the most volatile areas in the world. Israel is an island of stability in a sea of war and unrest. In the midst of this turmoil, Israel stands out as a beacon of order and human progress. Each week we update you on what's happening in this, the Jewish state, a true light unto the nations. This is Jay Shapiro. Join me every Thursday on Israel News Talk Radio.
Be biblical.
Be beautiful.
Wear your crown.
Wrapping is my crown.
Do what married Jewish women have been doing for thousands of years. Celebrate the art of head wrapping. I'm Andrea Grinberg from Rapunzel.com. We have beautiful scarves, stunning accessories, scarves for faith, scarves for healing, and scarves for fun. Rapunzel.com. That's Rapunzel with a W. Or click on our banner on the Israel News Talk Radio homepage.
Rapunzel.com. Beautiful scarves, stunning accessories paired with tutorials, support, and a vibrant community to give you everything you need to start and perfect your head covering journey.
Don't forget, join the Rapunzel community group on Facebook to see, learn, and share your beautiful wraps. That's Rapunzel with a W on Facebook.
I love Rapunzel.
I love Rapunzel.
I love Rapunzel.
Get 10% off your purchase with promo code RADIO. Go now to Rapunzel.com.
Okay, Andrea Simintov. We are back. Okay, very good. All right, here we go. Drinking water, putting on socks. My home is so beautiful. It's so lovely. It's so lit up with the reflection of the Jerusalem hills. The floors in Israel, if you're going to make Aliyah, the floors are very cold, unless you can afford those underground heating floors. Okay, the inspiration for today's show. I think today's show, I called it, when I posted it on Facebook, I called it Come Home Because. And I posted yesterday on my Facebook wall, I wanted to know from other people what it was about the day they got off the plane, the day they made Aliyah. I don't really know anybody. I haven't met anybody who made Aliyah. I know they're out there who made Aliyah, but without a sense of passion, without a sense of connecting to their Jewish history, to the land of the people, whether it be a post-Holocaust kind of thought or walking in the footsteps of our forefathers kind of thought. And of course, you spend enough time here. And one can get jaded. We can get jaded. I had a conversation with a client yesterday who's moving from Jerusalem to Beersheba. Very interesting move and the rationale behind it. A lot of people are doing it. And she said to me, I've served 25 years in Jerusalem. Okay, so I had this thought because a friend, a childhood friend, someone who we did the math and we think that perhaps we haven't spoken in 45, 47 years. And we reviewed the depth of our previous friendship and we think that perhaps we've exchanged 11 words in our entire life. And suddenly he and his wife, new good friends, are exploring the idea of making Aliyah. And their reasoning, their rationale, their disenchantment with America is not necessarily the subject for this show. But I had never heard of their having any interest in Israel. And this friend said to me, let's see, I typed up some notes. I'm going to ignore what I wrote by hand here. Okay, very intimate show. Okay. And I said to him, what is it that sparked your interest? And he said to me, I don't know, we had this and these feelings. They're part of a spiritual Jewish community. I think what they call a renewal community. I'm not really that familiar with it, like to know more. And he said, but one day you posted the flag. You posted the flag of Israel. And it was, he didn't use these words, but it was like he got a familiar punch in the gut. There was something about it that affected him viscerally. And I have to tell you, I get it. When you think like, well, what's a flag? It's a piece of fabric, a little bit of paint on fabric. I swell up. I absolutely, tears come to my eyes. For some reason, I want to draw in every human moment, every sentiment. I almost can imbue every sacrifice that preceded the creation of this talit-like flag of this Jewish nation. And I thought to myself, well, not him, not anybody, any Jew who's listening, and they have the list of reasons why they can't make Aliyah, and they talk about the finance, and they talk about the rudeness of Israelis. What are you scared of? What are you frightened of? Hasn't Corona taught us anything? How fragile our lives are, how fleeting, how quick. When we're children, we meet people that are 50 and we can't even, differentiate between their faces because they're all geezers. They're old people. And then you hit the age of 50, 60, 70, and you do the math and you think, if you're healthy and you're whole, what am I scared of? Adventure? Doing something different? Am I scared to be poor? Have I not learned anything? Am I frightened to learn a new language? Or even better, sit in classes and not learn the language, but meet people, new friends? Give it up. Give it up. I always say the non-Jews, the Goyim, have the best bumper stickers, give it up to God. Give it up. Give up. It hasn't worked for you. All that fear, all that apprehension, all that reasoning, it hasn't worked. You come to Israel. You have a hard time, even as you're barbecuing in the park because you just can. Even as you're dressing casually because you just can. You wear a pair of jeans and a t-shirt to a wedding, make sure it's clean. Because you can. Don't worry, we'll catch you. We'll embrace you. Your neighbors will. We'll hold you. We'll laugh with you. We will cry with you. And together, one foot after another, together, shoulder to shoulder, we'll endure and celebrate this adventure together. I posted on my wall, I said, what do you want? And you have to hear the names of the people who are writing to me. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Chana, Zahava. Names from the Tanakh. Names that are ours, names that are indigenously Jewish. And somebody says, it's got to be the people. For all of their wonder, for all of their aggression. They're warm, they're good. Somebody else writes and says, I love the buses. I don't take them very often. I love the buses. It's a cross section. It's black, it's white, it's Arab, it's Jewish. It is. It's ours. Other people wrote to me and they said, I'm home. I don't care how happy and content and American you are, and how French you are, and how British you are. There's something about being a guest in a host country and being home. There's something about putting your stockinged feet up on your sofa, but conducting yourself when you live in a host culture. We're part of something so massive, so huge. And when you look at the flag, and you don't know enough, and you haven't studied Zionist history, and you're not really a shomer mitzvot, observant of the mitzvot, and yet that is the thing that sparks your pintele yid, that little eternal flame, and that's the thing that gets it for you. It's talking to you. You're part of a national destiny. It doesn't have to leave you. Soldiers, the boys, the girls in uniform, children, making sure that you have your lights on, that during coronavirus time, knock on your door in their masks and said, are you okay? Do you need to go somewhere else? Have you had your temperature taken? Children, flowers blooming outside your door. Imagine signing on your destiny with a homeland that 75 years ago, 80 years ago, was a pipe dream. Didn't even seem a possibility. Who even would have thought of such a thing? A land where the laws of the Bible, the laws about separating first fruits, in the year 2020, still these laws are relevant and observed. You're part of it. The people, the air. And then I got a note from Bob, my new friend Bob. Bob is the greatest cynic of all. And he's funny. He said he marvels every day at how terrible so many things are here, that there's no such thing as service. There's so much bureaucracy. There's so much crap happening. And yet, I extrapolate, Bob, it's my show. It works. It works. There's a marvel every day, and miracles. You know what the problem is? I'll tell you the worst part about Israel, that there are so many miracles, we take them for granted. Breathe in, breathe out. I'm a certain kind of Jew. I think that anybody who knows me would probably be able to label me, let's just say, right of center. If you are left of center, come home. We need you. If you are an atheist, I'll invite you to my Shabbos table. I'll try to change your mind. But I will never say to you, don't come home. Come home. There's room at the table. Okay. So the other thing is, I want to say, because we're going to talk about, okay, this station is leading the march, leading the challenge, leading the forefront. Jews in Israel, Jews in the Holy Land, Jews in the Middle East are under siege. We are under siege by supposedly well-meaning, some of our best friends, and I put that in quote, Christian friends, who are here to proselytize. They are here to convert us. They are here to bring us back to the gospel. And you are not invited. I'm going to say something before we go to our break. I'm going to tell you, you hear this, some of my best friends are Christian. And I want to tell you something about best friends. Best friends do not defecate in your living room. Best friends behave humbly in the homes of their friends. Best friends say, I'm sorry, I do not know the rules. What are the rules of your home? I hope I do not offend. Anyone who has ever written to me, good listeners of the show, and tell me that they love the show, but there's just one thing I don't have quite, that if only I would come home to you-know-who, understand, I am not observant because I'm stupid. I'm observant because I'm Jewish. We're going to talk more about this on the other side. Someone has to say it. This is Andrea Simintov. Pull up a chair. I'll see you in a few moments.
The Tamar Yona Show.
Tamar? She's sassy.
She's smart.
She's funny.
But she's also a real Jewish mother.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tamar Yona. And yes, I can be all of those things. But at Israel News Talk Radio, I'm here to bring you the news stories and guests that you may not hear anywhere else. Join me live on air Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays for the most unique and bold talk radio in Israel.
The Tamar Yona Show.
Okay, we're back. Andrea Simintov, pull up a chair. And oh my gosh, the show is going. Okay, so I was mentioning before that there really are some fearless warriors in our nation. We used to be a community, a Jewish community of frightened Jews. Woody Allen made his riches emulating the quintessential Jewish nebesh. Well, you know what? I live in a nation of heroes, a nation of rock stars. Some of them are really quite, go to the gym every day and quite built. And some of them look like Woody Allen, but they're rock stars. It's the nation that evolved of a dream of Jabotinsky. And there's a lot. If you want to know more, I have said this before and I say it again, write to me, Andrea at IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. I will put you in touch. If there are things you want to learn, places you want to grow, there's things you need to know. My friends this week who called, they called with great humility. They were adorable. They were wonderful. They said, we recognize that we're part of something greater. We don't know that much. Well, let me tell you something. When something feels right, you can be pretty darn sure it's consistent with Torah. Morality is right. Caring for others is right. Reaching out and wanting to make the world a better place is right. You're as Torah-centric as anybody. And whether one is Sabbath observant or even, let me say it this way, observes the Sabbath the same way that I observe the Sabbath, that's between you and God. And it's between me and God. And you know what? I love when people say, they say very nervously, they go, oh, Andrea, I'm not a perfect Jew. Oh my gosh, when you meet one, please give me his email address. I want to meet him or her. All right? Spoke with someone this morning, spoke with my very good friend and really loyal listener, LN. And LN knows her stuff. And she's really has her finger, her etzba ala dofek, her finger on the pulse of what is happening to those of us who are under siege, living under siege by well-meaning Christians. Post-corona, there's a new dawn in Israel. It's a new dawn, a new day. The tourist industry has shut down. And suddenly, I'm looking through these papers. Let me just go through here before I get to my holy notes. What are we under siege? A new station has cropped up, was able to purchase from the Israel Broadcast Association a 7-year contract. Correct me if I'm wrong. Holy Sharon Newson. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rabbi Tuvia Singer, Ellen Horowitz. My gosh, you're all out there. All of you know your stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Shelanu, Hebrew for Ours TV, finally, they were actually able to purchase a 7-year contract from the feckless Jewish state on God TV, Hebrew language God TV. I'm not telling you that. Here it is, with Hot, the Israeli cable television provider, hosting the channel. Facts are that more than 700,000 Israeli households subscribe to Hot, controlling nearly 50% of the cable market in the country. So the first thing, I don't know, I'm going to get notes. I'll get better equipped to tell you how to stand up and protest this. Stay tuned to IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com throughout the day. They will tell you what to do. But in the meantime, you in Israel and overseas, write a letter to Hot and tell them that there are a bunch of whores risking the sale of the Jewish souls to pad their coffers. And that's where we will start. Okay? As Rabbi Tovia Singer from OutreachJudaism.org, check out OutreachJudaism.org, his direct quote, "This is an assault on every Jew, an attack on Judaism itself. This is a predatory attempt to target every Israeli." And Shannon Newson, who's appeared on this show and other shows, Shannon, you can write to Shannon, by the way. I'll give you her address. Write to me. Shannon was indeed an evangelical missionary. Today she's an Orthodox Jew living in Gush Etzion section of Israel. And according to Shannon, it is the nature of Christian missionaries to be deceptive in their tactics. I would assume this to be the case in their obtaining a license for such a channel. How this received government approval is beyond me, and hopefully a mistake that will be rectified immediately. That's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're done with today. I want to talk about coming home to Israel. Again, my friends, again. Don't sit. Do not be complacent. If it feels wrong, your Jewish neshama knows it's wrong. And the days of being nice and being a nebbish and saying, but I want them to like me. Do not have a Sally Fields moment. Have a Jewish moment and say, I am a child of royalty. I am a child of the founders of the single deist faiths. I am a child of Israel. And when you come into my living room, holy Christian friends, do not defecate. I will not defecate in your living room, and do not in mine. Act modestly, act humbly. And again, I will do the same with you. Okay, anything else I wanted to say post-corona? Oh yeah, one other thing. If you're planning a trip to Israel, a visit to Israel, and you're Jewish, take a Jewish guide who knows his Jewish Israel, who enjoys and loves and celebrates the Jewish neshama. If you are a Christian friend of Israel, hire a Jewish guide who is Torah observant and loves the Jewish people and can share the glory of our miraculous land with you. Just as many of you would only want the finest fabrics in your homes, just as you wouldn't put garbage into your digestive system, you want the finest fruits, the finest vegetables, the finest wines. You want to wrap yourself in the finest jewelry, not 8-carat overplate. Find the finest, the most accurate, and the purest, and get an authentic experience. Same thing when it comes to Jewish observance. Don't go for historical rewrite. We're not a menu, one from column A, one from column B. Get it right. Get it in silk. Get it in good mohair. Okay? I don't like a lot of polyester in my life. I don't want a polyester tour guide. I don't want a polyester religion. I want polyester food. Okay? So that is that. Let's take this page right over here. Oh, great quote. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, those of us who study regularly, we've all heard of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak. I loved this. A man is not truly compassionate until his joy at his neighbor's good fortune is as great as his compassion at his neighbor's misfortune. That is Israel. My friends asked me to describe my building. My friends are very interested in, I'm losing my English. If we could do the show in Hebrew, we'd be halfway there. Jewish-Arab relations, integration, brotherhood, crossing the bounds. It's very nice. So I was able to tell them, I was able to alert them to some groups I know here in Jerusalem. I know of women who do things, moms who do things together. And I was describing my building to them, and I was laughing. I was saying, we have in this building some gays in this building. We have Moroccans. We have Orthodox. We have secular. We have an Arab-Russian couple. We have people from South America. You have both Ronnie and Andrea, the two Yankee Doodle dandies. Let's see. We have marrieds. We have widows. And when I was saying to my friend, I was looking at my building and saying, my building is just about standard. Okay? It's a typical building here in Israel. So apparently on Tuesday night, 18 new Olim, new arrivals came to Israel. From what I've heard, don't have the numbers in front of me. They are expecting something within the 12, 18 months. Another 100,000 Jews coming home to Israel. Nobody is checking your Shabbos candlesticks, and nobody is checking the hechsher, the stamp or non-stamp on your potato chips. What they're saying is, come home. Contact Nefesh B'Nefesh. Take a pilot trip. Tell them what your interests are. Let them put you together, and let's go. Last medical report before we go on. Apparently, Israel has isolated the current coronavirus antibody in a significant breakthrough. You know what Israel's doing? What she does. Healing the world, curing the world. And for those of you who are worried about burgeoning anti-Semitism again in other countries, I know that this is going to sound very strange. Stop wringing your hand. You have absolutely the best country in the world. We are flawed. Okay, have I mentioned that yet today? We are flawed, deeply flawed. So if you're making Aliyah, if you're looking into lifts and you don't know, I saw another posting, they don't know whether or not to get a lift, it doesn't matter. Anything you get in America, you can get here. If you want to send a lift, fine. Come home. Come home. Come here with a sleeping bag. I'll get you an air mattress. You'll pick up an old Formica table. The best part is you'll shop in the shuk. You will be home. Figure it out on this side. What an adventure. What youth. What fun. And you know what? Be the crazy aunt, uncle, grandma. Be the one that followed his and her heart and came home because you could. This is where you belong. You won't be a guest. You'll just downright own it. Andrea Simintov, see you on the other side.
In a time where feelings have become fact, where rational thought and common sense has disappeared, one man stands above it all.
I'm Howie Sobiker, your political hitman.
Political Hitman airs every Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. North American time, 7 a.m. Israeli time, only on Israel News Talk Radio.
Are you interested in transforming your life, drawing closer to the Creator, and uncovering the deeper meanings and hidden treasures in the Hebrew Bible?
Then join me, Rav Yitzhak Michelson,
and me, William Hall,
on the Science of Kabbalah. where we are seeking to narrow the gap between what we understand of our physical and spiritual worlds. So make sure to tune in every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Israel time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Israel News Talk Radio.
Okay, we're back. Andrea Sementov, pull up a chair. Today's one of these days we should have had a 2.5-hour show, but I have to get out to the bank and I have to go. I was scared to say at the beginning, I have to put on a bra. That should take about a half an hour. I have to first find it, okay, after 7 weeks in quarantine. All right, before we get into Parsha of the week, this week's Torah portion, I just want to get one other thing. There's so much to say. Again, there's a humility that comes along with being friends, being kind to one another. And this show is aired from Israel, nothing shy. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of Muslim listeners, a lot of friends. By the way, if you want to befriend me, write me a note. When you write and you say, become my friend on Facebook, I have 80 things and you don't write a note. I don't know who you are. Write me a note, okay? And Murad, I'll be in touch with you later. So one of the things I wanted to say, a message about Aliyah. Check your fear at the door as my brave friends who are willing to explore. There's no commitment, willing to explore their birthright. Indeed. There's something very wonderful about recognizing your inner vulnerability and, and saying, I'm ignorant. I don't know. That's great. That's the first step. Because you know what? If you know everything, you're porous. Nothing can leak in. But if you say, I don't know, 3 of the hardest words, much harder than I love you, okay? 3 of the hardest words, I don't know. There's a wealth of resources. And let me help. Let's learn together. I learned so much from my friends this week, even as they came to me for tentative guidance. I do know, ask me about Rabbi Green and Birkat Torah in the Old City, about Rabbi David Aaron, I think it's Israelite, Eish HaTorah, Or Sameach, Na'aleh, more. Write to me, tell me what you want, let me put you in the right direction, because it's a tough kid. It's a tough kid. Help me. It's a mission. I'll figure it out after, okay? That is that. Parsha. All right, so we're going to talk more and more about the missionaries in the weeks to come. You are not welcome. And if you're listening to this show, good. Listen to the show. I'll give you my authenticity, and I'll take what I want. But you're in my home. Behave humbly, and I'll do the same in yours. Okay, Parsha. I think this Parsha is Emor. This Parsha. Now, in every society, and producer, really keep me on the numbers today because I'm going to lose it. All right. So in society, every society creates an elite. It's just standard. We know some people, hold themselves a head above, and there's a great influence in the society. Even in those societies, like in the communes and in kibbutzim and kibbutzes, there's a board. There are those who are leaders. There are those who manage the finances. Everyone is supposed to be equal, but it's not really true. All men may be created equal, but I remember reading Rabbi Jonathan Sachs said very, very clearly, not everybody is equal. Simply just take a look around, Unfortunately, it is acutely evident. In this week's Parsha, the Torah creates for us an elite among Jewish society, the priestly family of Aaron, from which all Kohanim in the Jewish world are descended. If your name is Cohen, if your name is Ka'an, you are probably from royalty, from really Jewish royalty, and it's nothing to be scoffed about. And if you don't know anything about it, say, teach me more, and I'll help find the sources for you. All of them are descended from Aaron. The Torah describes the details and the special laws that govern Kohanim. And it becomes absolutely obvious that those who study this particular parsha in the Torah that Kohanes have greater demands put on them, greater restrictions on the leadership than on other Jews, other sloppy Jews like me. Privilege, rank, honor also bring, indeed, a heightened sense of responsibility. Okay, there's no elite that's really beneficial to the society that lives among if it doesn't have a sense of its responsibility, if it doesn't understand that it has to take the moral high ground, that people are looking at them. In discussing the definition of the phrase a chilul Hashem, a desecration of God's name, the Talmud arrives to a kind of a sliding scale of behavior. I don't want to sully this particular Devar Torah. We know in the news coming out of America, two prominent, smarmy, horrible, clearly Jewishly surnamed creeps who peppered the pages of the American newspapers, and indeed it trickled on down to Israel. These people did not understand they're supposed to have on their shoulders. They don't even know. They're so far away. The mantles of holiness. Holiness is not a one-size-fits-all. A great scholar and a leader of the elite who's guilty of Torah violation, he's guilty of Torah violation if he does not pay his bills when he's supposed to pay his bills. An ordinary person is not held to this rigorous standard. We sit and say, did you hear? And he's a rabbi. We know this also, lahavdil. We know this in the Christian world. The shame of pedophilia that was brought down and aired and exposed through the church. People shook. They lost adherence. More is expected. The other side of this coin is that the people of Israel were commanded to give extra honor and deference to those who wear the mantle of Kohanis. Being a Kohen, one wears a special crown. It's a godly crown. It's a heaven-granted crown. There are no perfect human beings. It's easy to find faults and weaknesses within individual Kohens. So people loved it. We see this, and non-Jews can definitely relate. Coming from your world, people would denigrate the Kohen, when they felt them to be imperfect. I'm just looking at this nice note I had. There are people who take a look at Kohens, take a look at the priests among us, as if indeed their right hands are angels of the law of the Lord our God. Respecting Kohens, every Kohen. It's built into Jewish custom. It's built into ritual. People seek the blessings of the Kohen. We bring our firstborn males to a Kohen for redemption. There's an open Aliyah, an open going up to the Torah at the time of public readings. Kohen leads us in the prayers after meals. Yes, we observe it today. Now, there's no priestly temple in Jerusalem that requires this special and exclusive attention of the Kohen. And their status in Jewish society has been nevertheless preserved. It's a reward for remembering Aharon and his sons and the establishment of the Kohens. Now, I must tell you in our last few moments that there's a danger in establishing a priestly class. It's apparent, okay, I'll stop my jokes there. Okay, to a great extent, as I said, Christianity became very aware of it, and the popes themselves had to deal with this. The service of the Kohanim, not the service of the Kohanim, but again, I'm just saying that nobody is unaware or falls outside of the umbrella of the special kind of shame that those who practice a desecration of God's name. The service of the Kohen and the existence of such a group were deemed essential by the Torah, like essential workers. So were the Kohens. They had these special laws, and a Kohen could never be a king. A Kohen cannot own land. A Kohen is subject to special familial restrictions, okay? These are just very important things for us to learn. Don't skip. I laugh. We always say that Bereshis, the first book of the Torah, that's the fun book. That's the blood, the guts, the lust, okay? The Kohen is very, very important. So, okay. Vayikra, the book of Vayikra. We're scolded. We're admonished. We're warned not to profane the holy name of God, but to sanctify his name instead. And I'm talking to you, and you. Who, me? Yes, you. The Ramban, quoted in the Sefer, the book, Love Your Neighbor, indeed page 317, I wanted to share that with you, comments, there are other things that are a profanation of God's name. When a pious Torah scholar does things which cause people to talk against him, even if the acts are not transgressions, he profanes God's name. If a Torah scholar will be careful about his behavior, will speak pleasantly to people, act friendly to them, receive them with a pleasant facial expression, will refrain from retorting when he's insulted, will honor those who treat him with disdain, will be honest in business dealings, will constantly devote himself to Torah study, will always go beyond the letter of the law, and will avoid extremes and exaggerations, then he will be praised and beloved, and others will desire to emulate him. This man has sanctified God. My friends, we're given role models to be role models. The Torah is a blueprint with specs and diagrams and instructions. And here it says in Sefer Vayikra, and you shall heed my mitzvot, and you shall do them. I am the Lord. This teaches us that all of us who are not learning are not doing. I ask all of us to discuss at our Shabbos tables the principle of learning before acting, not only in performing mitzvot, but in our everyday conduct and in our everyday interactions. My name is Andrea Simintov. See you next week. Shabbat, Shalom, U'Mivorach from Jerusalem.
Where can you get the inside news on Israel? At Israel News Talk Radio, we're dedicated to sharing Israel's inside story with the world by providing our listeners with news on Israeli politics, current affairs, and Israeli Jewish culture. The Israel News Talk Radio homepage also provides you, the listener, with useful information at your fingertips, with scrolling news headlines, weather, currency exchange, Shabbat candlelighting times, and so much more. Our radio programming is always accessible and on demand. We operate absolutely free of charge for everyone, everywhere. If you love what we do, partner with us now by becoming an Israel News Talk Radio supporter. With your support, you'll be inscribed on our Israel News Talk Radio Wall of Fame. There's nothing like us in the world. Be part of something great. Israel News Talk Radio. Straight talk from Israel.
Howdy, this is Rita from League City, Texas, now living in Israel. And though my heart may have belonged to Texas, it now belongs to Israel and all the fantastic show hosts at Israel News Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Michael Solomon from Kiryat Arba, Israel. And why do I love listening to Israel News Talk Radio? Because I love listening to the interesting interviews they do and their news reporting that most other media sources don't cover.
Hey, this is Nicoleko from Malmö, Sweden. It gets pretty cold here in Sweden, so I love cuddling up with a warm cup of tea while I listen to Israel News Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Frank Morris from Tennessee. Me and my dog Buster really love listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
News, opinion, and more. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.